Good morning. Russia just launched the largest strike of this entire war, 823 attacks hitting Ukraine's government headquarters. I'm Remo, and this is the Daily Signal for September 8th, 2025. Stay tuned for the rest of the stories.
Unfiltered. Now,
Here are the other top stories for September 8th, 2025. Argentina's President Milei suffers crushing defeat in Buenos Aires election, his reform agenda now hanging by a thread. Nearly 900 people arrested in London during massive Palestine protest, one of the UK's largest mass arrests in recent history. Cables snapped before Lisbon funicular crash. Preliminary investigation reveals mechanical failure in Portugal's capital. Israel targets more Gaza high-rises, while calling on famine-stricken residents to flee their homes immediately. Houthi drone strikes Israeli airport arrivals hall, warning sirens completely failed to sound the alarm. American pilot Ethan Guo finally released after being stranded off Antarctica in extreme conditions. Japan's Prime Minister Shiba resigns following series of devastating election losses. State parades mask growing tensions at Tiananmen as international observers question authenticity. Thailand's new prime minister, the veteran politician who legalized cannabis, takes office with progressive promises. Now let's dive into each story. Breaking overnight, Russia launched 823 separate attacks across Ukraine in what President Zelensky calls the largest single strike of this entire war. Here's what happened. The Cabinet of Ministers building in central Kyiv, Ukraine's main government headquarters, was set ablaze after Russian drones struck the structure directly. This isn't just symbolic, it's a functioning nerve center of Ukrainian governance now burning. The human cost is devastating. At least 4 people died, including a mother and her 3-month-old baby. 44 others were injured across Kyiv alone as missiles and drones rained down on residential districts. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko confirmed the government building fire, though he suggests it may have been caused by drone debris after Ukrainian air defenses shot down the attack. Russia's defense ministry claims they used high-precision weapons targeting only military facilities. Why this matters? This represents a dangerous escalation. Targeting government buildings crosses a new line and threatens the very foundation of Ukrainian leadership. European allies are watching nervously as this war takes on an even more ominous tone. Argentina's far-right President Javier Milei just suffered what analysts are calling a crushing political defeat in Buenos Aires provincial elections. This isn't just any loss. Buenos Aires province is Argentina's political powerhouse. The defeat undermines Milei's entire reform agenda and raises serious questions about his ability to consolidate power ahead of crucial national elections. His radical economic policies and controversial reforms now face unprecedented opposition. Here's what this means for you. Argentina's economic instability affects commodity prices globally, from beef to soybeans. Political uncertainty in South America's second-largest economy sends ripples through international markets. This defeat signals that Latin American voters may be pulling back from populist experiments, setting a trend that could influence elections across the region. Nearly 900 people were arrested during a massive Palestine action protest in London, marking one of the largest mass arrests at a UK demonstration in recent memory. The sheer scale is unprecedented. Protesters targeted UK arms sales to Israel and demonstrated against ongoing Gaza operations. Police described the arrests as necessary to maintain public order as tensions boiled over in central London. This massive mobilization reflects deep divisions within British society over Middle East policy. The number of arrests suggests authorities were prepared for significant civil unrest. Why you should care? These protests indicate growing international pressure on Western governments supporting Israel. Britain's response could influence how other allied nations handle similar demonstrations and shape diplomatic relations in the Middle East. A cable snapped before the funicular crash in Lisbon, according to preliminary findings released today. This mechanical failure in Portugal's capital has authorities urgently reviewing urban transport safety across the city. Several people were injured in the crash, highlighting vulnerabilities in aging European transportation systems. The funicular system, popular with tourists and residents, carries thousands daily through Lisbon's steep neighborhoods. The immediate impact: authorities are conducting emergency inspections of similar cable transport systems across Portugal and potentially throughout Europe. This matters because millions rely on cable cars, funiculars, and similar transport in mountainous cities worldwide. One failure raises questions about maintenance standards everywhere. Israel is calling on famine-stricken Gaza residents to flee immediately while simultaneously targeting more high-rise buildings in Gaza City. This creates an impossible situation for civilians already facing severe hunger. Recent airstrikes have destroyed multiple residential towers, worsening an already catastrophic humanitarian crisis. Officials warn that famine conditions are spreading rapidly throughout the territory. The contradiction is stark: evacuate immediately while facing starvation and having nowhere safe to go. International aid organizations describe the situation as approaching total collapse. Global implications: this escalation threatens Middle East peace efforts and increases pressure on international allies to intervene. The humanitarian crisis could trigger massive refugee movements affecting neighboring countries. A Houthi drone struck Ramman Airport's arrivals hall in southern Israel, and here's the terrifying detail: warning sirens completely failed to sound. Passengers had no advance warning of the incoming attack. The drone hit the arrivals hall directly, causing damage and panic, but fortunately, no casualties. Israeli officials are calling this a direct threat to civilian aviation safety. This attack expands the conflict's reach significantly. Ramon Airport serves international flights, meaning this could affect global travel security protocols. The failure of warning systems raises serious questions about defense capabilities and suggests the Houthis have developed more sophisticated attack methods that can evade detection. American pilot Ethan Guo has been released after being stranded off Antarctica in extreme conditions. His rescue highlights both the incredible risks of polar operations and the importance of international cooperation in remote emergencies. Guo's ordeal demonstrates the challenges facing aviation and exploration in Earth's most hostile environments. The successful rescue required coordination between multiple nations and specialized equipment. This story matters because it shows how quickly situations can turn deadly in remote regions, even with modern technology. It's a reminder of human vulnerability in extreme environments. The rescue also showcases international cooperation working effectively when politics are set aside for humanitarian purposes. Japan's Prime Minister Ishiba has resigned following a series of devastating election losses that weakened his party's parliamentary control. This creates significant political uncertainty in one of Asia's most stable democracies. Ishiba expressed regret but encouraged his party to regroup after defeats that undermined his leadership authority. The elections showed growing voter dissatisfaction with current policies. Why this affects you? Japan is a crucial ally for Western nations and a major economic power. Political instability there could affect trade, relationships, security arrangements, and regional stability in Asia. The leadership void comes at a critical time when Japan faces challenges from China and North Korea, making stable governance essential. State parades marked a significant anniversary at Tiananmen, but international observers are questioning the authenticity of public support displayed during the orchestrated events. Reports suggest tension beneath the surface of the official celebrations, with carefully managed displays masking underlying dissent. The gap between official messaging and public sentiment appears to be growing. This highlights ongoing challenges to political openness in China, with global implications for human rights and international relations. The carefully controlled narrative suggests authorities remain nervous about genuine public opinion. Thailand's new prime minister is the veteran politician who helped legalize cannabis, and he's taking office promising progressive reforms that could transform Southeast Asian politics. His election signals potential for revitalized social and economic policies in Thailand. As someone who championed cannabis reform, he represents a shift toward more liberal governance. Globally, Thailand could become an influential model for cannabis legalization and progressive policies in traditionally conservative Southeast Asia. This could influence regional approaches to drug policy and social reform. Looking across today's stories, we see three major themes shaping our world right now. First, escalation everywhere. From Ukraine's government headquarters burning to Houthis striking Israeli airports, conflicts are intensifying rather than resolving. Traditional boundaries are being crossed. Government buildings, civilian airports, urban centers, nowhere seems off limits anymore. Second, political instability is spreading. Argentina, Japan, Thailand, and even stable democracies are experiencing dramatic leadership changes. Voters worldwide are rejecting established politicians and policies, creating uncertainty that affects global markets and international relationships. Third, infrastructure failures are exposing systemic vulnerabilities. The Lisbon cable break, failed warning systems in Israel, and rescue challenges in Antarctica all highlight how our interconnected world depends on systems that can fail catastrophically. Here's what this means for you. These aren't isolated events. They're interconnected challenges that affect everything from gas prices to travel safety to international stability. The old rules of engagement in warfare, politics, and technology are being rewritten in real time. Stay informed, stay prepared, and remember that in today's world, local events can have global consequences faster than ever before. That's the Daily Signal for September 8th. I'm Remo. Subscribe for tomorrow's breaking news, share this with someone who needs to stay informed, and remember, the world changes fast, but staying informed keeps you ahead. Until tomorrow, stay sharp.
Unfiltered. Now.